Last story. This is really funny. There's a reason you should not. Oops. You should look, but not touch. When you are at the museum, especially when it comes to art. This is what is left of one of Jeff Koons' famous balloon dog sculptures. Yeah, it was on display at an art fair in Miami last week. An artist says he saw a woman tap the sculpture with her finger. Knocking it to the ground. And the not balloon, folks, it's not made out of balloons. It's actually porcelain.
Look at the guy with like a $5 just like plastic
porcelain
up thing.
Porcelain dog was valued at $42,000. There was no you break it, you buy it policy in place, but the piece was insured. The person in charge of the display told the New York Times that the number of blue balloon dog sculptures has now shrunk to 798. So Nate, you can get one for your crib, because I know you got the room, making it slightly more valuable.
No, they kicked.
What's up, man? It's your boy, Drew. I had a little bit of time here. I wanted to jump on and cover something that I covered on EBT's stream the other night. So make sure you go to Enslaved by Truth and follow him. And we started the stream. He did an 18-hour stream, and it's gone. So if you click this stream, it's just like lost. It's lost in the ether. So at the beginning of the stream, I made a prediction. Now, if you guys know me, been here a long time, you'll know I'm 0 for 100 on the predictions. That's not true, actually. I did predict Elon Musk getting a social media site. So I did have one good prediction. But then I just want to run through that stuff again. And the balloon story that I started the show with, a lady knocking over the balloon thing, is more balloon programming in the media. And I think it does tie in with this. And then another thing we have tying in with it, before I forget, I'll bring it up right now, is Jimmy Carter. So he's in hospice. He's ready to die. He's in home hospice care. So this guy's at the end of his life right here. So the prediction I had was looking at these stories coming in the news, like starting with the LeBron James breaking the NBA scoring record. Well, that's true, Denise. I was right about conspiracy going mainstream. That was actually years ago. I've made some crazy conspiracy predictions in the past that haven't come true, but my more grounded ones are like pretty on point as far as analyzing kind of where society's going and stuff like that. But my mission for 2023 is to make conspiracies schizo again. So I got to give you guys this conspiracy. Since it got lost in the ether, I'll just rehash it right here live. So I looked at it in the news a few weeks ago or whatever. It's been a couple weeks now, or at least a week, when LeBron James broke the NBA scoring record. And so he was third. LeBron he broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record. So LeBron has the most all-time points in NBA history. And formerly, he beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, this guy on the right. That guy held the record for 38 years. So Kareem held that scoring record for 38 years. And when LeBron James was 38 years old, on the 38th day of the year, LeBron James broke the record with a 38-point performance and now has 38,388 points. This is no accident. This guy, it's like when people say you could never plan it. Well, unless you planned it, actually. So I was looking at it, like, and I was wondering if it was like a date, 3/8, right? And right after that, a few days later, the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and they scored 38 points to win, and LeBron James was there. When you look up what March 8th is, so basically my prediction is this, and I'll just spill the prediction here, and then we'll go through a few of the other points here. March 8th is called International Women's Day. Not just in America, but it's International Women's Day. So my prediction is that something will happen to Joe Biden that will go with the curse of Tecumseh, and you will see Kamala Harris get sworn in or become the president or whatever on that day. It may only be temporary, like maybe Biden's lost at sea or something, or he's in a medical emergency, he's down for a little bit and he's able to come back, or she may just remain. But that's basically the gist of my prediction. And let me go through the rest of these things, and I'll show you why. You had this train derailment in Ohio that everyone's talking about. And in the story, they highlight, for some reason, they say there was 38 cars derailed, and then 12 other cars were destroyed by the fire. So 38 cars tipped over on this event in Ohio, the state with the serpent flag, and where Trump always gives the serpent speech. And then the hazardous materials were dumped into the Ohio River there. Vinyl chlorine was the chemical that was released. Vinyl chloride. Also at the same time, I think it started like a day before that. And then for the next few days, there was all those stories of balloons. So I started this stream with the story of the lady knocking over the balloon sculpture. So that beginning here on February, I think it's like February 1st or 2nd is when the first balloon spotting came, and then that was trending for about a week. So you had the balloons, the trains derailed, and all the 38s in the story. And then I've covered this before a couple of years ago, is where I covered Joe versus the volcano. And the reason what caught my eye when I watched that was this scene in Joe versus Volcano, which was released in 1990. Whoops. Let me go back. Oh, whoops. I'm messing it up here. So when the volcano explodes, you can hear the noise released by the volcano or whatever. It says Kamala. Yeah, LeBron is from Ohio. There's another good connection, Yeti.
Ceremony or anything?
No, you just jump in.
So I have pretty good headphones on. I don't know how well you can hear that, but I'll play it again here a couple more times. It says like Kamala in the background, or it's this guy in the mask saying it, since you can't see his mouth move. Neither one of these guys' mouths move.
Just jump in.
I'll play it one more time here.
In.
So the volcano shouts Kamala. In the movie, the guy's name is Joe Banks. Tom Hanks plays a character named Joe Banks, and they say he suffers from brain cloud. So that's similar. So Joe Banks would be like Joe Biden, right? Joe B, and owned by the banks. And he suffers from brain cloud, like Joe Biden's out here kind of acting like he's got like dementia and all this stuff, right? And he travels to the Pacific Island, and it was filmed in Hawaii, where Obama's from, to jump into a volcano. Now, in the movie, what happens is he jumps into the volcano, and there's just like a steam blast or something that comes out when he jumps in. So he doesn't die, he just gets shot out into the sea. It's just it's like an absurd rom-com. But also then Tom Hanks was at Joe Biden's inauguration. So there is the connection with him and Biden. And Joe versus the Volcano was released 33 years to the day before 3-8. And the reason I'm looking at 3-8 is because of all the LeBron James and the Super Bowl score and everything. I was trying to look at it as if it's a date. Like they're trying to tell you something's going to happen, that International Women's Day. So the time it's 33 years to the day. You see it right here. And if you change, if you change this to the 7th, it's not that. So 33 years to the day of 3/8, Joe versus a Volcano released with a guy who was at Biden's inauguration about a movie filmed where Obama's from, where the volcano explodes and says Kamala. Now, this could be like predictive programming for like a volcano or some kind of natural disaster, but I think it's more of it's an abstraction. David Pryor says Tom Hanks is connected to every conspiracy. 100%, right? And then, the balloon story and the train derailment were going viral on 2/3 was that the date that happened. So I know we're weeks later here, but that was exactly 33 days before March 8th. So I'm targeting this date, March 8th, 2023. Make conspiracy schizo again. In the movie Joe versus the Volcano, there's the famous scene is where he goes off to the island in a boat. The boat gets struck by lightning, and then he has all his luggage. He's got to make a makeshift raft on his luggage, and he's like almost ready to die, and this full moon comes out. That's like the most iconic scene of it. And basically he just stands, I can't play it unfortunately, but he basically just stands up and he says, "Hey, thank you, unnamed creator," or something like that. He's basically thanking God, but I don't know if he says the word God. I don't remember right now. And then the next day in the movie, he washes up to the shore of where he was originally going and jumps in the volcano the next day. So this was like the day before in the movie timeline before he jumps in the volcano is the full moon. And March 7th, 2023, right here, coming up, is a full moon. So the day before my prediction of what's going to happen, it's a full moon in our reality, not in a Hollywood movie. And then how I'm directly connected to this is I registered the domain name chalkbodyoutline.com on 11/20/2001. I didn't know anything about politics. I didn't know anything about anything really then. I just felt like to register it that day over 20 years ago. And that's actually Joe Biden's birthday, 11/20. So that's like a connection between me and Joe Biden, kind of abstractly. I don't think I'm like really connected to this dude at all. And then when you run the date from me registering my URL, chalkbodyoutline.com, to the 3/8 date. So you do have this Jimmy Carter president dying in the news right now to kind of get you ready for this. So from when I registered my URL to 3/8 is 7,779 days. So it's got the 777s in there. But I'm going to say like this is what my prediction here is going to be. Is it even if we bring this back to the 6th. So I'll say anywhere, like it might start on like 3/6. And what I'm predicting is if it is 3/6, then my URL, that's 7,777 days. So what I think is going to happen, and I don't think it's necessarily a volcano. It could be like a volcano and maybe Biden's in the area and he's missing or something for a couple days. And that's why they got to put Kamala in or something. I don't know. But I'm going to go with all the balloon programming they have, including that newest dog balloon programming. And it goes with the Joe Banks character played by Tom Hanks having brain cloud, and what we see of Biden right now is, I'm gonna call an aneurysm. Call my shot here, aneurysm, which is anytime you look up aneurysm, it says a ballooning and weakened area of an artery. So I think it would be like an aneurysm in the brain, possibly. See, abnormal bulge or ballooning. Anything you look up about aneurysm, they use that term ballooning. Ballooning or weakening of an artery. they all say the same thing. And so maybe on like 3-6 or something, Biden has to go to the hospital or something. And if it gets worse, then they got to put Kamala in. I don't know, something like that. It's a schizo conspiracy. I try to stay away from stuff like this, but since the other stream got taken down, I said, man, if it really happens, I got to have it up here just in case. But if something were to happen to Biden, it would go with, Primal Jihad. This is not a panel. I'm just doing a live stream. I will do a panel later tonight on the backup channel. So if you go to the Get Chalked Up channel, if you're not all paneled out yet, right here, we got the YouTube Streets of Rage Quitters series. Second episode later tonight on the backup channel, Get Chalked Up. So if Biden were to go in the hospital for something like this, there's also this weird backstory of like Obama being like a mystical healer almost that Jurassic Liars talks about. So shout out to Jurassic Liars. Like when that, what's her name, Gabrielle Giffords got shot in Arizona, she was like pretty much left for dead, right? And then as soon as Obama visited her in the hospital, she kind of woke up right after that, and she's been healed. You know, she talks like she pretends like she LARPs as a tard now. But I think this could be used to further that Obama is some like almost like a supernatural healer or something. Like Biden's almost left for dead. Obama visits him, and then okay, miraculously at least he doesn't die. You know what I mean? Maybe he's unable to continue the presidency, but he's not left for dead. Maybe. A lot of maybes here in this prediction. However, it is fairly specific as well. I mean, I don't know really how it would play out. But let me see. And then, if you don't know, Kamala Harris, just when I was looking at this, Kamala's name means lotus. So they always called the president's wife the FLOTUS, or First Lady of the United States. But Kamala's name means lotus. So that's the Lady of the United States. So if this is to happen, think of how long this plan is. For 33 years is when the movie came out. So the movie was planned before that, filmed and shot and planned. There's usually years of planning. And then, and then you'd have to go back to the birth of Kamala for them to have handpicked this person in 1964 to have ins with her parents or something like that. Her mom's name was P.V. Gop. Oh, that's the dad? No, that's the mom, I think. Yeah, that's the dad, I guess. Yeah, here's the mom. Her mom's name is Shyamala Gopalan Harris. And she was a biomedical scientist at Lawrence Berkeley National University. So that's the mom. And it basically straight up tells you that her husband was responsible for helping to bring the Black Panthers. He wasn't like the founder of it, but he was early involved with the Black Panthers. Yeah, right here. In the fall of '62, a student group at Berkeley whose members would go on to give structure to the discipline of black studies, proposed the holiday of Kwanzaa, and help establish the Black Panther Party. Shyamala met a graduate student in economics from Jamaica, Donald Harris, who was that day's speaker. So her dad was involved with the Marxist people that eventually went on to form the Black Panthers and everything like that. Very grassroots with that connections to that. Yeah, okay, thank you, Hater Dave. I did this the other night and I forgot to say that too. And that's actually a big part of it, is that when Yeah, Hater Dave says it best. Let me bring it up. Don't forget, pro wrestler James Kamala Harris died right before Kamala was in the running for VP. So it was like the day before or something like that. Maybe within 2 days of no one was saying who Biden was going to run with. This guy died, and his name in WWE was Kamala. And he's like this black witch doctor type dude. And as soon as he died, look at, he's got a shirt that says Kamala for president, but it's got his face instead of Kamala Harris. So as soon as he died, then the next day or the day after, Kamala Harris was announced as Joe Biden's running mate. So I did have a video on that, like when that happened too. I covered that. And I had a funny ass cover of Joe Biden was behind him sniffing him with this dude making this face. I meant to actually have that in the slideshow and I totally forgot. So thanks, Hater Dave, because I forgot about that. Shout out to the chat. What do we got in the house? 80 people almost. Appreciate you. I didn't have too much today. I've been really busy with the kids. The kids have been having a hard time sleeping this month. So time's been tight, man, for me. So keep looking for these 3 8s in the news and balloon stories in the news. And maybe that has something to do with this upcoming date, 3/8. So, and if it does happen, like it may start a little bit before that, just remember my URL beginning on 3/6 for your 666s. Bam. Oh my God, Aphrodite said that's the same face as Joe versus the volcano. Hold on, I gotta look now. Because he has a little, doesn't he have like a little, whoops, shield or something with him? Yeah, he's got this little African face with him that they show in the Joe versus volcano. That's wild. It's not exactly the same, I guess. It's similar though. Look at it. When I did this on EBTs, I showed there's a video of a guy that has like the complete esoteric breakdown of Joe versus the volcano. And in the movie, this guy's mask that you see on the left here, it's the exact same as the factory that he works in. He has this boring, meaningless life, and he's just bored with life, basically. He works in this factory, and it's shaped just like this mask. Man, these kids are already up. I already hear them. So I think that's it. I just want to make sure I laid down that prediction. I got the panel later tonight. But I'm also going to play this clip from Benton. I don't know how long this is. It's maybe like 10 minutes or so. So this is Benton and Mr. Miyagi speaking about the ideology of Theodore Kaczynski. Now, here we talk about Theodore Kaczynski was most likely not a real person. It's just like a media figure. And I get into it a little bit here. But I think this part's an interesting conversation. I'm just going to join it where they are. And then, or like, we'll be watching it before I join in. And then I join in and kind of talk about it. And I want to get this like on this little section clipped out too. So I'll play this, and then after this, I'll probably just shut it down. So it's maybe like 10 minutes of this, or max probably. Go back a little bit from where I was. So yeah, at the end of this, I'll shut it down, but I appreciate everyone that was here.
But it's necessarily, it's needed. When you're freaking got 3 or 4 guys in their 20s working for you, good.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that being the case.
Yeah, and the people are decent, you know. You don't have a lot of attitude.
Yeah, I've
Hold on, I messed it up because I forgot this is like a 12-hour stream, so I scrolled the scroller back way too far.
But my point is that it's not possible.
No, I don't. Look, I don't. You got me wrong there, Ben.
It's not saying, but I don't think the person matters at all, personally. When it
Go a little bit more back, and then we're there. All right, I'm gonna stop here.
well, and I'll go ahead and challenge you. Have you read Kaczynski on these topics?
Kaczynski, no.
The Unabomber.
No, I haven't. No, I sure. Why would I want to?
He wrote about all of, and the reason why you would want to read it is because he's got one of the highest IQs ever recorded. That's why you would want to read him.
Yeah, but I mean, if I wanted to find like both sides of a certain road, I might go there, right? To find the opposite side of the story or something, right? But say like if someone said, "Oh, Aleister Crowley, boy, he talked a lot of good sense too, even though he come off as evil and he's got a lot, you could learn a lot from him." I still ain't gonna go study Aleister Crowley.
I don't think the person matters at all, personally, when it comes to, because earlier you were talking about logic. The fact is, his logic is superior.
Yeah, but so if his logic is superior, why would he bomb something?
But what does that have to do with the books he wrote?
Well, it has a lot to do.
But wait a minute. If the logic is sound, him committing criminal acts can never negate the logic. The logic is separate from the criminal act.
Well, who would want that much logic if it led you to bombing somebody?
I'm saying I'm not saying, but if he bombed people, how do you know he did that because of his logic with respect to these issues we're discussing?
Well, because if he did it from his mindset. And his mindset, like you said, was a high IQ person. So I wouldn't want to get caught up in that dream.
Well, that's just fear, though. I don't fear ideas. I can never fear an idea. But my point is that it's not possible.
No, I don't. Look, you got me wrong there, Ben. I don't fear ideas. And I think that a mature, logical person could listen to anything and without it swaying.
Okay, so go read Kaczynski then, and then you can talk about it.
If I knew where to find it, I would really do that just because you...
Yeah. Well, you could start with his the Unabomber Manifesto. It's called Industrial Society and Its Future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he explains logically why the populace is not able to revolt. And that all revolutions will further strengthen the system itself.
Yeah, that's why they call it a revolution, revolving.
So what I'm saying is that he wrote some of the most astute analysis of these issues. And if he's a real person, he's literally one of the most intelligent people ever. This guy became a Cal Berkeley professor at like the age of 22. He went to Harvard at like the age 16. I mean, it's a bad motherfucker. If he's a real person.
Yeah. Well, already from not, I've heard of him and stuff, but from not knowing any of that, I kind of agree with that. How we're the programming and all that and the way that our society is set up, there will be no revolution. And if it was, it'd be so small that it'd be squashed out in a heartbeat. But
yeah, you can check it out. There's also audio. There's people that read it out loud, like there's audio books of it too. But he wrote a lot of other stuff also. But that's a good place to start with Kaczynski. He also wrote some of the most astute critiques of the left that's anybody's ever written. He very astutely breaks down the psychology of the leftist in America.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Brilliant stuff. Go ahead. What?
So I'll tell you a crazy dichotomy. So, like, I'm interested in knowledge greatly. And It's kind of a autodidact, you know.
Sure.
But basically, and I've had, you know, basically, I got, you know, like you talk about an ABSVAB test, and I scored really high. It not only that, I took an IQ test one time and I scored a 146 on it.
Nice.
So, and so, but I really, to tell you the truth, Benton, growing up, I had no idea that was within me. I had no self-esteem. I had no idea
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Hey, Drew's back, by the way, just so you know.
Okay.
Am I in the room? I'm doing
You're here.
I'm multitasking. Okay. I wanted to call in and give you a little pushback on the Ted Kaczynski, Benton.
I hope you do.
I'm a little bit with our boy Mr. Miyagi here is we've gotten to the point where we're separating the ideas from the people, but the ideas are what creates the man, right?
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess we also get into, was that even a real person? So because we really don't even know.
I want to talk about that too. Is if
What?
when you do look, I wanted to mention that when you do look into it, it seems like it's probably just a creative narrative for the controllers, and then they create this. They put this guy out there, put him on a pedestal to these rebellious souls that are out here. They put him in. They put him in a quote unquote supermax prison, and you can still write them and everything, and then they can just track who reads the book, who writes them, what communities are forming following that ideology. However, there is a book, and that Benton always likes to say that the writings attributed to Theodore Kaczynski. So the book
Exactly.
itself is solid, whether he wrote it or not. And then it begs, like, where does that book come from if Theodore Kaczynski is not a real person as presented?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I
So
go a step
all.
further.
Yeah.
I go one step further on Theodore Kaczynski, where I've done this. I don't know who's all in here, but on my channel, I have what's called the Unibonger theory, that Theodore Kaczynski is the same actor that plays the role of Terrence McKenna. You can put their looks and their voices side by side. They have the exact same voice, and it's
Their
almost
voice is, it's identical.
a 100% identical voice. And then what? It's funny. Someone left a comment on that video. It's kind of an older video, and recently I got a comment that a lady said she was watching. I think it must have been the Unabomber interviews on Netflix or something like that, and she was in the other room and she didn't even know what was on, and that she was certain she was listening to Terrence McKenna because she was familiar with him. And then when she went in the room, she saw it was Ted Kaczynski, and then she started looking it up online, and that's how she found my video.
Oh wow, that's good.
But if you look at the ideologies of both, right, they're both counterculture ideologies in two different ways. So this could be some, and I do on my video. I don't know if it's on that same video, but in the past I have shown Terrence McKenna speaking at Langley and talking about Langley and shit like that.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I actually, that's how I found Drew also, as I was searching for videos about was Ted Kaczynski also the Zodiac, and that's how I found Drew's channel.
And pulling it up right here so I get it right. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, so why would you want to appeal to his books then?
Well, here's my point, though. My point is, honestly, I didn't want to go through all of what Drew covered with you right now, so I tried to take a shortcut, and Drew Drew came in and held me to the accountable. So thanks, Drew.
Let's assume it's real, as the system said. Let's just pretend it's Theodore Kaczynski, the real guy. Everything happened as said, and he wrote the book. Let's assume that, okay? According to the quote-unquote official fiction, Elon Musk has an IQ of 155, and Theodore Kaczynski, they say, has an IQ of 167. So according to the official fiction, the smarter the person would be when instead of going into it like a technocrat society, they would be more likely to bug out into the woods. But with all that said, we get into the idea, or ideas making up the man. So I was feeling what Mr. Miyagi was saying. He's saying, well, if it's true as everything happened as they say, then why would you want to continue that deep into the path of logic? Because to Theodore Kaczynski, it must have been logical to do what he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's a point. But I want to make a further point, which is when Mr. Miyagi comes on here, I could be cutting him off at the knees every time he tries to make a point, but I give him leeway to try to go where he's going. But instead of giving me that same leeway, he cut me off at the knees.
Yeah, I did. Well, hey, man, sorry.
But that's what you did. But I could do that to you, and we would never get it.
I don't know where I cut you off at the knees. I was just asking a logical question.
And
like
I can do
said,
that with everything that comes out of but I could do that with everything that comes out of your mouth. But for the purposes of the discussion, I let it go where it's going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's a broadcast. But no, Drew's right. I should have repeated for the 100th time all of that stuff about Kaczynski. That's what I should have done. I was being Drew, so
But let's remove Kaczynski from the equation, and we're talking about the same thing. Why are we separating the fruits of people's life from their ideology?
Oh, great one. Yeah, exactly. It's the same way with Archaeus. It's
100%,
like
absolutely. You can't
fucking yeah.
That's what I've been saying lately. That Aphrodite, she was living the life of a crazy cat lady. She was being super crazy on the internet, and now she seems to be outside living the van life, and she's way less crazy. But lately, she's been saying to these people with these different ideologies, she says, "Show me your life. If you don't have any kind of real relationships in your life, family or even just close relationships or anything, any success to show from it or anything, then what's the point of your ideology? Why would anyone subscribe to it if it's leading you to bombing people in this specific case, if that's true?"
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. But my point is that I don't believe that that's what happened. But I would say this: what Kaczynski would say is that if I hadn't have bombed these things, nobody would have read this stuff. And I think there is.
Yeah, that's the disconnect then, because in his mind it was logical to cause up to death to people.
Well, but in that context, he's a criminal psychopath. So, that doesn't really.
That's true.
And I understand the point you guys are making, but this is not if he did those things, that's obviously a criminal psychopath who's very mentally ill.
Yeah.
As far as the writings attributed to him and what you say or what it says, I 100% believe that is there will be no revolution that doesn't serve the system. And that's where I would disagree with Paul, that there's really, you can do your own little stands wherever you want, but let's say he got some crazy viral video or something and he got a million or 5 million people to start doing the same types of things he's doing. There's already a program in place ran by a computer simulation or something. There's a military plan in action in case that happens, where they just go to the next level and then flip that organic movement to serve the system.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the way I see it.
It's almost better for people like Paul to not talk about that kind of shit on the internet and not try to get more and more people on that same page and just kind of fend for their own if they're able to do that, I think. Because if they find a loophole, then eventually the Babylon B system is going to come patch that loophole. And I'm of the belief you live in Babylon. You will never escape Babylon no matter what. That's where you're born into, whether you want to say you're born into hell or whatever you want to say. You're in Babylon.
Yep. Product of the system.
You'll never flip Babylon ever. It's here for always and eternal.
Yeah, and so that goes to my point where the only thing you can do is peacefully non-comply.
Right. Until Christ returns, though, right?
Yeah.
Until that day. which
But
Well,
like, I
actually,
like
I'm looking for
But wait
things
a minute,
before that.
but you have to examine peaceful noncompliance. You can't just put that forward without examining it. So you can't passively resist a checkpoint in your town. That just means you don't go to the other side of town. That's all that means.
Yeah, but that's exactly it.
So you don't go to the other side of town. That's not resistance. That's you not going to the other side of town.
Well, if I want, depends on how bad I wanted to go to the other side of town.
How are you going to get
Because I
there?
sure wouldn't
How are
let
you
no
going to get there
checkpoint
through to the other side of town through passively resisting a checkpoint?
you'd have to dig a tunnel.
Yeah, I'd walk through the woods. If my mother was on the other side of that freaking thing and I wanted to see her, I'd be there.
There you go.
Or they'd kill me on the way, one or the other. But hey, speaking of skis, have you guys ever heard of the Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's about what's going on right now in this world. And see, everybody's looking for Jesus to come back, but they forget the false Jesus comes first.
Well, now
And
aren't
not only that,
you the one though that said there's two Jesus in the anti?
yeah, that's exactly. Pseudo Christ means a mirror image of Christ.
But
Antichrist means a mirror image of Christ.
right, but it's not a Christ though. So that's
He's
why
going to be playing Jesus and deceive the whole world.
right.
That's
So-
the prophecy.
But I ain't looking for that to happen if there's other signs to take place. You know, you got the UN's, in my opinion, is going to take a hit, guys. And that's going to be a sign for this, to the bringing into this one world government. Now it says, that first beast of Revelation, that political beast will receive a deadly wound. That could very well be the Americans and the American spirit. I don't know. But in my summation, it could be.
It'll be interesting to find out.
Hey, real quick, let me address the chat. 0.5 Talcott says just because the system finds a way to capitalize off something doesn't mean it hurt the man doing it. So if the system's able to strengthen its own defense systems, like almost like a hacker hacked it and find where these exploits are, they may not have physically hurt the man, but then isn't that man responsible for creating a stronger Babylon system? Like these corporations and stuff, they'll pay high-level hackers to come in and hack their shit to show them where their weakness is. Let me say this, man. You guys, we all think we're on lists and shit like that. I 100% guarantee I've been on a list for a long time because way back in high school, I subscribed to 2600 magazine. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
I used to pick it up at this little bookstore and then I subscribed to it. And I knew nothing about I knew not one thing about computers, didn't own a computer, and it was all about hacking. And I don't know, I was just very drawn to it for some reason. And then when I subscribed, I could barely understand a lot of, like 90% of it that was in there, I couldn't understand, but I kind of liked being in over my head up with it. But that's where a lot of what the hacking books were about was like how to gain access to these systems and stuff. And a lot of it, tools they use, they call social engineering. And that's what I was talking about in here yesterday with that guy that was trolling me or whatever. And it's a simple thing, as simple as if you were to wear a high vis vest and just walk into a building, no one would question you. High vis vest or in a hard hat or something, right? You could gain access into a building, into probably 90% of buildings or something. Carry a ladder or something if you have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the thing I took the most from that 2600 magazine, but I think it was more targeted towards hardcore computer hackers, which I wasn't. And I didn't know anything about computers until I got a job at CompUSA and then just bought a computer, knew nothing about it, and had to work at CompUSA and talk about computers all day, every day. And now I do music on computers, graphics. I do the video. I do everything on this computer. And then when I was like 20 years old, I didn't know one fucking thing about it.
Yeah, I
But
think the
my
computer
point,
is a double-edged sword, you know?
yeah,
And,
hold on, let me finish my point 1 second here because
okay.
I'm gonna have to hang up in 1 second. But my point was that these corporations pay high-level hackers to find exploits in their websites and all that stuff. So it's almost the same thing on a spiritual thing here for the Babylon beast system, the nightmare dystopian beast system. Since I'm on Benton's channel here, that
Yeah.
that if these men are out here finding exploits, and if they're able to make enough noise about it where it catches on, even probably not even that big really, but just to where it becomes a nuisance to the beast system spiritually, then it's going to cover that loophole. And so your idea, Talcott, that it's not hurting the man, if the man's on a mission and driven by a mission, motivated by that mission, doesn't it ultimately, if the mission is shut down and if his mission leads to the strengthening of Babylon, doesn't that ultimately, doesn't it hurt him? Not physically though, but he unintentionally created a stronger system that he was going against, if that makes any sense. But I'm going to hang up and listen to what you guys got to say because I'm working.
Hey, good stuff, brother. Thanks
Yeah,
for that.
real good stuff, man. Wow.
Yeah.
What do you say on there,
Sure.
Benton?
Say it again.
Tell me what you think on that, because I got to get going here too. But I got about 5 minutes. But basically, I got to go at 9. But
Well,
I think
real quick, I just wrap up on the Kaczynski saying, I
Yeah.
think that is probably an exploit where the system identified that somebody's going to figure this out and write about it. So we'll just go ahead and discredit the writings themselves by creating this idea of this terrorist, so that when the ideas are mentioned, people will be like, yeah, but that's that crazy criminal psychopath. So we're not even going to pay attention to that. Like, that's literally how I view it.
Yeah, and it could be that way. I mean, very well, you could be.
Shout out to Benton. Go subscribe to Benton at Benton668. Subscribe to my panel channel. Get Chalked Up here on YouTube tonight. We'll be going live in these YouTube streets of rage quitters. I appreciate everyone that was here. And